You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
Welcome to American Medicine Today. I am Kimberly Bermel, and thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today, alongside our radio friend and executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
Always glad to be here.
And we have Junior Mint, our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff, and friend.
Howdy.
I still love, not to interrupt your intro, I still love every time it's shown on TV and we show Jeff, it just says senior fellow.
I'm waiting for like Junior Mint to pop up.
Well, I'm waiting for someone to say like, he's the senior fellow of what? Because that's genuinely a title that people get.
The Bonati Institute for Conservative Thinking.
No, we had a senior
think tank.
We had a senior fellow from Heritage Foundation
Yes.
on one time, and Jeff was like, "Well, I want to be a senior fellow." That's how you became the senior fellow. It's not even
self-appointed.
It's not even a real title.
You appoint yourself to it.
I'm going to get on O'Reilly show.
Wait. I think he's a senior fellow of a stink tank.
Anyway, we digress. We also have...
We have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
I'm coming from the stink tank, too.
Oh, no. Well, that's a whole other story.
He's running the stink tank.
Anyway, for those of you that tune in week to week, we try to say what's different about what Dr. Bonati does. He was a trailblazer. There was invasive open spine surgery, people putting screws and plates in people's backs. Sometimes they were having to be not only slit open down the back, but also the front. They don't do that at the Bonati Spine Institute. Dr. Bonati broke away from that mold, the typical textbook teachings. He set out on a path to bring true patient resolve. And what he came up with was his own patented procedures, exclusive methods, and the tools to perform them. Now, they are targeted to every individual. And not only that, they have pinpoint accuracy. We're at a level of 98.75%. And that's pretty much unheard of in any industry, let alone the medical industry. We have an exciting show. We have retired attorney and self-described as a professional patient and author of Patient Confidential,
Richard Lang.
It's going to be an exciting interview. And then we have Mark Everson. He's probably one of the lesser-known GOP candidates that's running. And
he's starting to make waves, though. He was on Cavuto, I believe, this week or last week.
Right.
Because he made a big stink that Fox didn't, for some reason, allow him to participate in the debate. I mean, he's legitimately a candidate for the GOP. So, and we got him for our show. So we'll talk to him about all of that good stuff.
Okay, but up first.
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
Now, usually we go to the phone or an in-studio guest, but this time we actually have, for the first time ever, and hopefully the last time ever, for your sake, we have Miss Kimberly Bermel, our very own Kimberly, is going to be our patient testimonial today because she underwent a procedure last week. Now, we'll do it like we normally do. Let's start from the beginning of your story, Kimberly.
Well, in 2001, I had been in a car accident where my car flipped over on its side and then it righted itself back up. Well, a lot of damage to the car and myself. I ended up having a lot of damage where if I stood up, I was throwing up all the time. And you know, we talk about inefficiencies with doctors. Well, when I went in and I explained the circumstance, they just put me on like Flexerol and all these other pain meds and said, don't worry about it. You're going to feel a little banged up. And I went, wait a minute. You didn't even take any X-rays or MRIs, anything. And I literally had to throw a fit in my doctor's office for him to send me for an MRI.
Wow.
Because he must have his mind on golf or something. I don't know.
It's the whole mindset of, you know, the pain management and the, oh, you're in pain? Here's a fistful of pills. Take those.
A week later, I'm still standing up, throwing up, getting ill. And so I demanded that they send me somewhere. And then they said, oh, we'll let you know what the results were. And all of a sudden they said there were like brain spasms. Oh, everything's normal. And I said, does a normal person have like brain spasms? And so I quickly told them I wanted all my charts and I'd never be back. And, you know, went to the chiropractor, did that sort of thing, but always lived with pain.
Was your doctor in Mexico by chance?
No, unfortunately, Port Richey, Florida.
By the sounds of it, sheesh,
Yeah.
that's some pretty poor care.
It absolutely was. So anyway, never went back there again. Best move I could have made. But I always had massive migraines, and I would always have pain kind of in my shoulders. And over the years, it's progressively gotten worse. Now, the migraine's so bad that I could be doubled over, crying, light-sensitive smell, sound, anything.
And I know recently, especially just in the past couple of weeks, I remember talking to you over the phone about, just day-to-day things that we needed to do. And Kimberly's kind of talking like this, almost in a whisper. I'm like, "Are you okay? Or like, are you somewhere you can't speak?" She's like, "I have migraines." I mean, you were holed up in a room, I guess, for a couple of days because of that.
In the dark, cold washcloths, anything that I could do to try to relieve the pain. Gotten to the point where it seemed like every day I was trying to take like a preventative dose of Excedrin or Migranol and different things like that. Other things doctors previously had put me on bad reactions to, would have taken full dose, curled up in a ball, throwing up, crying. Yeah, it was just horrible. Well, anyway, we tried some other things like little shots here and there, more conservative type methods. Nothing worked. I went from being able to sleep on my sides to, if I was on it for 2 minutes, irritated, could sleep on my back and get some relief. Then as of late, I would say within this last month, even sleeping on my back with pillow, without pillow, soft, anything, nothing helped.
So it sounds like you had really suffered for quite a while. Was there a specific instance, or did you just get to the point where I can't put up with it anymore?
When I tried shots, and sometimes it would provide me with like a week or two of relief, but then no, it just progressively got worse to where I just felt miserable all the time, and I always felt like there was this heavy weight in my head. And I don't want to say fog, but you try to perform, but you still are hindered. And I do a lot of stuff, as you're all aware, on the computer, and trying to stare at those screens and type and do different things makes things very difficult.
And so basically, how long, did you ever get an MRI anywhere else?
I did. I got
And nobody told you that there was a problem with your neck?
They said slip disc, herniated discs, different things like that. That was back in 2001.
Okay.
And
another question that I asked you yesterday, because I was on the phone with Kimberly while she was in pre-op and almost doing a pre-interview like we normally do with a patient. And I said, you do realize for the past, 2-3 years that you've worked with Dr. Bonati, you do realize that you have a man who could likely fix your problem, yet you're still living with pain.
We know a guy.
Yeah, we kind of know a guy.
Yes.
What took so long? What the heck?
In the beginning, I never realized till I started to work at the Institute that migraines could be caused by spine problems. And I found it fascinating. And I would always talk about how I had the headaches and I had some neck pain and discomfort. Well, mentioned a doc, and he's like, well, I don't really want to have to operate, but let's, you need to come in, let's get an MRI.
Which leads to a great question, Dr. Bonati. When you saw the MRI, what did you see?
Well, she had a big defect on C5, C6. And that is exactly one of the areas that provokes these type of pains, that they look like migraines, and they are bad migraines. Well, migraine has a specific type of pain. And if you don't really understand migraine, then you feel that it's a vascular problem. And really, I don't know why, but I believe when you have these changes on the cervical spine, you compromise the vascularity. And then probably that is what the type of symptomatology they have, because sometimes the unilateral pain is in the eye. They have prodromic situations like nausea and vomits and things like that. And it's an aura. And then they know when they're going to be in really bad shape, because they 10 or 15 minutes before they go, I'm going to get sick.
Yes.
And the people go, no, you need to have these medications, and they put medicines and they give names. And when you have a headache, Some people say they are tensional headaches. They say they are migraines, and they continue with these type of different names of
cluster headaches,
cluster headaches, and the whole thing. And no, this is a vascular problem associated with sometimes changes on the cervical spine.
Right.
So what I did is I thought maybe we can control that. So I gave her a little injection on the C5, C6 and blocked that area, and the headache was, boom, gone right there. And from that time on, we knew that was the problem. Yep. But at the same time, I need to give her time to decide if she wants to have the surgery or not.
Right.
Well, I
wanted the surgery.
Yeah.
I think she got so bad in the last 2 months or so that it was constantly with taking medication. And you know, these medications are very dangerous, some for the kidney and the other ones for the stomach.
Right.
And she was popping all these medications. At the same time, some of these medicines is also, they make you gain weight. So all this situation is really compromising your
by
performance
medicines
in your
he
life.
means Excedrin, Migranol, nothing harsher than that. Yeah.
Well, then she decided, now I'll leave you, because she decided, okay, let's do this.
Yes.
All right.
And I believe in what you do. I've seen you perform what I would say are miracles on your patients when they come in. I've seen the results, and I went, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, and I trust you wholeheartedly.
Well, we have Ben here, and we only have about a minute left. Ben, will you hold up the? He was in there and filmed the entire.
Ben is the videographer
my mom
for the
watched,
Bonati Institute.
I watched my procedure. That's me on the table.
Yep.
Do you want to hit play?
All right, go.
Anything to say? Well, I was awake, aware, alert, and interacting, and it was the most fascinating thing.
Yeah, that was during surgery.
Yeah.
I watched the screen where my surgery was, and I could see every movement he was making, and they said, okay, let us know, we're going to press on the nerve. Is this your pain? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And they said, where? Say, use words, 3 words, neck, shoulder, arm, if it reaches your arm. And I did those things, no pain whatsoever. My mom was surprised because when after they put the dilating tubes, you're awake. And she said in the beginning, your voice was very weak. And then all of a sudden I was talking just like I am right now and moving my neck. No problem.
Yeah, I knew that you were going in for the procedure, and I mean, it was just a couple of hours later. I was getting emails from Kimberly, copied on like business emails about things, and I thought, well,
right back to work.
Apparently everything went well because she's back to work.
Yeah, viewing our TV show and sending that off for approval.
Well, we're out of time, but go ahead and turn around and show the folks watching your.
I don't know if you can see it, but that's the only thing, and the incision is much smaller.
Tiny.
Yeah, itty bitty.
And Kimberly says this to all of our patients for joining us, and I'd like to say it to you.
Yes, thank
you.
We
wish you continued good health.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll send
Pain-free
photos.
Living.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Bonati, because without your help, I would still be in pain. And it's just a testament. And I love being on the other side of it now. So I always loved hearing the stories. Thank you. You're absolutely amazing.
No, we don't know yet. We need to do maybe 10 more.
I
love you,
You'll be the one doing it, yeah.
All right, we're out of time, guys.
You're listening to American Medicine Today. Coming up after the break, we have Richard Lang, retired attorney and self-described professional patient and author of Patient Confidential. Tips to keep you safe as you navigate the healthcare system. And we certainly need the help with Obamacare. Make sure you stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. the outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
Thanks for tuning in to American Medicine Today. I am Kimberly Bermel, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
I am Ethan Euchre.
I know, see? And then we have senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Yes, I am.
What are we doing?
I always feel
now?
silly when it always says my name is like, and I am.
I am.
And we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
I don't know who I am.
He is.
You're
He
the greatest.
yes.
I'm the greatest. That's what Doc is.
I'm the greatest ever lived.
Well, we are here with Richard Lang, retired attorney, self-described professional patient, and author of Patient Confidential, Tips and Advice to Keep You Safe as You Navigate the Healthcare System. And in these recent times, that's a necessity. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Lang.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, Richard, you call yourself a professional patient. I've never heard
Yeah.
that term before, first of all. Secondly, tell us why you're a professional patient
Right.
and how many procedures and surgeries and things you've had throughout your short life.
Sure. Starting when I was age 12, when I had a hip pinning surgery, and continuing, throughout most of my life, I've had roughly about 40 surgeries or other invasive procedures, heart procedures, and things like that. It really varies. The majority of them were probably orthopedic. I have 3 total joints. I've had 4 back surgeries, miscellaneous other things, 2 torn rotator cuffs. But I've also had a surgery on my colon and various other things along the way, and other procedures. I've got a pacemaker and that sort of thing. So it occurred to me that I probably was making that my second profession after practicing law.
How long ago did you have back surgery, spine surgery?
I had 2 operations in 2010, and I had one, I think, in 2012, and the last one in 2014.
What type of surgery? Was it the traditional open spine surgery?
The first one was, I think it was called a microlaminectomy.
Okay.
And it did not solve the problem, so the next one, 14 days later, was open. And then I had cervical spine surgery to release compression.
Okay.
And then I had lumbar spine surgery for the same sort of condition.
Got it.
But I did not have any fusion or anything.
Well, we had you on, Richard, and continue to have you on to talk about your book. But when you mentioned spinal surgery,
yeah,
I
we
mean,
all perk up because that's what
Dr. Bonati
Yes.
does, and he's a world leader in it. And just for future reference, obviously you can't, you don't have a DeLorean, you can't turn back time.
Right.
But if you have any future problems, you got to call the best of the best, and that's Dr. Bonati.
Yeah.
We know a
As
guy.
impressive as he is, I truly hope I don't call him.
Oh.
Good.
All right, so Richard, more about the book. What makes it necessary for the average person? Why do patients need sort of a tutorial when facing healthcare issues?
Well, some of that is historical. I mean, when I was a kid, my parents would take me to the doctor, and he would say, do this, do that, and we'd go home, and they'd say to me, you better do this and do that. No one asked questions.
Right.
No one said, why am I doing that? No one said, if the doctor said you need a test, they didn't say, well, why do I need that test, and what are the risks of the test, and so forth.
So you were spoken to.
By any means, I want to make this clear, this is not to say that, you can't trust the doctor and you better be on top of it. That's not at all what I'm talking about. What I am talking about, though, is you need to be informed. And you wouldn't get on a train and then figure out where it's going. So when you're in the doctor's office, you want to be able to say, yeah, I read a little bit about this, I understand that. Or if the doctor says, well, you need this test, then you should know why, what will it yield, what are the risks. And I have so many fine doctors, and all of them are more than happy to answer those questions. And in fact, I think welcome them. When I was practicing law, the scariest clients were the ones who just nodded. They never asked a question, never said, what about this or that. So I think that to get the maximum out of your healthcare visits, your encounters, you need to be educated and you need to ask questions. That's very important. And you need to understand what's going on. You can't suddenly have the equivalent of a medical degree and understand the technology. But you surely should understand why something's being done, what are the side effects, how long will I be off work? I mean, questions like this. Many of those the doctor will offer, but the patient needs to be on the ball and ready to ask those sorts of questions. And I recommend that people write down their questions in advance of the office visit, go to the office visit, take notes of what the doctor says, and if possible, bring along a companion, a spouse or child, because it's an extra set of ears, especially because the patient is often under some pressure. It's a tense situation, and they're trying to listen and understand, and the other person is there to help. I just picked the office visit as one example, but you need to do these things through various encounters.
Seems like good common sense advice.
It is, and the trend is in that direction. I've noticed that many newspapers, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, a lot of the TV shows are now doing segments on how patients can be better patients and understand better what they're doing. And there have been various studies that have shown either better outcomes or at least happier patients, more satisfied patients, when they have become involved and talked to the doctor and asked the questions and gotten the answers.
And with the passage of Obamacare, there's really been sort of a time crunch now with the time that patients get to spend with the doctors. Any advice for people under this new regime of Obamacare, Richard?
Yes. Double down on my prior advice. That's
okay.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. We have only so much time on even a doctor's visit, and most of my doctors are not rushing me through the office. They're taking the time that it requires. But still, time is at a premium. You have only so many minutes to be there and learn and interact with the doctor. And Obamacare will certainly put pressure on that time. There are going to be more and more patients. And as far as I can see, although I haven't made a study of it, but I don't think there are going to be more and more doctors, certainly not enough more doctors to meet the needs of these increased number of patients.
What should you do if you think you're not getting the health care that you need? What if you believe wholeheartedly there's a test out there that you need and you keep being told by these doctors, we're going to hold off on that for now? What should you do?
Well, one of the things I talk about in the book is second opinions. And I think people misunderstand the concept in that they think, wow, second opinion, that means I'm challenging the doc and he's going to be real unhappy if I go to this other doc. And I don't find that to be the case at all. I've gotten many second opinions, and in every situation, when I talk to my I don't mean primary care doc, but the doc who was treating me for whatever the condition was, and said, I think I just want to get a second opinion. In every case, they said, that's a great idea. And in many cases, they said to me, let me give you a list of the 5 most prominent people who practice in this area. And they weren't, other people in their healthcare system. They were at different hospitals, different groups. And they were more than happy to have me get that second opinion. And I think that's important. Now, if you use the word doctors, if you go to 6 doctors and they all say, we're not going to do that test.
Sure.
Odds are there's a reason they're not going to do that test.
Correct.
Many tests come with with risks. For example, without getting too far afield, I am on warfarin, which is a blood thinner.
Got it.
So any test that involves anything invasive, they always have to stop and think, is this worth it? Because we have to get them off Coumadin, and
Correct.
that puts them at risk for a heart attack or stroke. So let's think about this. Do we really want the test? So there are a lot of factors that go into it. But if it's one doc who says, I don't think we should do this test, and you as the patient have informed yourself and question that.
Good advice.
You get a second opinion.
Good advice.
All right.
Richard Lang, retired attorney, self-described professional patient, and author of Patient Confidential, tips and advice to keep you safe as you navigate the healthcare system. Is there a quick website where people could get your book?
They can go to Motivational Press, which is the publisher.
Okay.
They can also go to either Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and the book is online at both of those organizations, and the book is also an ebook on Amazon.
Thank you for joining us
Excellent.
on American Medicine Today.
Thanks,
My
Richard.
pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Coming up after the break, Mark Everson, Everson, I did it again. Mark Everson, one of the lesser-known GOP candidates, coming up after the break. Make sure you stay tuned.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer and friend, Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here, as always.
Our other friend, senior fellow Jeff Wagstaff.
Thank you for having me.
And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Now, yes?
I'm not your friend?
You are my friend and neck savior and migraine extinguisher extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That's what you
Very impressive title.
Right.
Well, as the 2016 presidential race begins to heat up, we're joined on the phone by one of the lesser-known GOP candidates that's running. But maybe we can help change that. Yeah. Mark Everson is a political expert with quite an impressive resume. Former president and CEO of the American Red Cross, former IRS commissioner, and he's also spent 6 years working under Ronald Reagan in the United States Information Agency and Department of Justice. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Everson.
It's actually Everson. That shows
Everson.
Your point about lesser known. But anyway, thank you for having me. And I don't have any medical questions, but good to have all this talent.
You might be wondering and curious, Mr. Everson, that why you're being interviewed on a medical show. Well, that's because we have Dr. Alfred Bonati in studio, who is a very political person, very interested in this GOP debate, which we'll get into all of the issues at hand, of course. First off, why haven't most people heard of Mark Everson?
Well, you know what it is I think it's a closed shop. The media sort of anoints who counts in the country, and I'm fighting against that. If you go to the RNC website, they've got 18 people posted on their straw poll. I'm one of them. Unfortunately, I didn't make the Fox debate, and that's a useful thing, obviously, to get that exposure. But I've got office in Iowa. I'm heading to Iowa right now as we speak. I'll be giving my speech at the state fair tomorrow, and like all the other candidates. So we're making our way and slowly but surely getting known.
Okay, well, where do you stand on, say, Obamacare?
Well, I suggest that there are some changes that we can make to it. We should make them right now. The first thing I would do is redefine what constitutes full-time work. I'm very concerned about the distortions that have taken place in what was a pretty robust part-time economy in terms of areas like retail, hospitality, restaurants, where now the businesses schedule everybody at under 30 hours to avoid that. That's one change I'd make. Okay. I'd also let the insurance companies sell across state lines, and I'd go through with tort reform, a whole series of changes. I do think, however, I agree with those who suggest that some of the benefits that have been established were a long time coming. They're very popular. The idea that you're just going to throw the whole thing out, I don't think that's possible at this stage. I think we should work to change it, though.
What I find interesting about you, Mark, is that a lot of people support Trump and Fiorina because of their business savvy and their background in just leadership and business in general. And then, of course, a lot of people support all the other candidates because of their political careers. Yet you sort of combine the two, which I find very interesting. Can you kind of explain how you combine both of those and what sets you apart?
Yeah, that is actually what I have to offer in the sense of a resume. I've got private sector experience. I've run a factory. A lot of these candidates will talk about factories and they'll go in and do photo ops. I do have a tinnitus, a little slight ringing in my ears from my days of running a can plant that made 12-ounce beverage cans. I've worked and lived not just in the United States, but in Turkey, in France, and Zambia. I've had operating jobs and finance jobs, so I've got that private sector perspective. But as you mentioned, I've got 12 years under my belt in the federal executive branch of government, which is by far the most of anybody. But I'm not a politician, and that's the difference. I'm not beholden to the special interest groups that many of the elected candidates are, and either governors or senators. It's the same thing. You don't get ahead unless you marry up with donors and special interest groups. So I like to think I've got a nice combination of experience, the outside perspective, but a detailed knowledge of the government that we need if we're going to fix it.
Mr. Everson, you
call me Mark.
Mark, going back to the presidential debates, obviously Fox took the top 10 in the polls and put them in the primary debates, and then they had what kind of was called the kids' table.
The happy hour debate is what Fiorina called it, happy hour debate.
But why did they keep you out of that? Because prior to the show, with the research that we did, you're clearly on the RNC website. How could they keep you out of that? I don't understand.
Well, we actually filed a complaint with the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, about this because they kept changing their criteria. They can do whatever they want, but they've got to be consistent. And I just think it's unfortunate because I haven't been showing up in the national polls. It's expensive to add 17, 18 candidates to the national polls. So the fact that I don't have a career in politics or the name recognition of a Trump or the money of a Fiorina, that's what held me back. Now, I'm hopeful. What we've done is we've written to CNN and the Reagan Foundation. I'm hopeful that gets addressed for the September debate because it would be great to be on that stage.
Mr. Everson, I have a problem sometimes with politicians. I'm telling you, you are a politician. I'm just saying I have a problem with politicians because everybody resonates the same. Everybody say things from one side and then act in another one. And I really think at this stage of my life, I am a businessman, and at the same time, I am a doctor. My problem is I don't have anybody who can really grab one topic of this discussion in the political arena and really hit that to attract the people. And I think one of the major problems that the politicians have right now is that they talk about 20 different things and they give a little bit of a brush off the top and they don't say anything. Everybody explains some of the situations and they always said, we are going to help it or we are going to correct it. And they know they cannot. So I really think if I will be a person who can give an advice to somebody who's running, and I'm not giving you an advice, but I just very, very, very humble. I'm telling you what you need to do. You need to grab one subject, one. And this is what Trump was intelligent. The intelligence of Trump was not, I really think was probably these things that happen in life. He didn't select that. But what really happened is he selected one subject and hit it so strong and create so much turmoil that the country wake up. You have an incredible opportunity today to grab something like Obamacare and don't focus on any other thing. Destroy that one. Destroy it because Obamacare, even if it is right now in power and is creating some waves that the people will try to modify, to correct it, to do something, that is not the answer. The answer is this needs to be defunded, needs to be destroyed, needs to be disprestige. We need to see the amount of people that they are suffering with things. We need to see the enormous amount of problems that they are creating with the insurance companies, that they are abusing the patients, abusing the doctors. Somebody who, if you create a situation that you organize a noise so strong, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have all the doctors on your side. And you know what? You have the doctors, what's going to happen? You're going to have the patients on your side. And you know what? You're going to have money to do this. Absolutely. But if you just go all over around, you're going to be one more. You need to focus in one thing so strong that I think that can break the mold and creating other competition for Trump. As good as Trump is doing today is because he focuses on one subject.
What do you think about that, Mark?
Well, I think that's very sound advice, and I have a series of things that I'm looking at, and maybe you're offering some pretty intelligent advice in terms of being identified with one thing. I'm going to reflect on that. I appreciate that very much.
What are some of your other platforms, Mark? Like, what are some of your strongest issues? I know you have sort of a non-traditional platform. You're calling for
taxes is the first one. What I suggest is we can get 150 million people off the income tax rolls. That would be couples earning $100,000 or less. If we put in a consumption tax on goods and services, and then what you do is those people, 150 million Americans, wouldn't have to file a return with the IRS anymore. Those who stayed in the system earning more, their rates would come down, and the business rates would come down as well. So that would be a real plus for the economy. And the good news about it is the proposal is called the Competitive Tax Plan. What it does is it brings in as much money as we've got now, and it doesn't change the distribution. It doesn't raise any group's taxes or benefit one group versus another. That's a very important proposal. Again, because I've been in industry, but I've run the tax system for the whole country, I know it needs to be fixed. And on day one, that's what I'll do. I'll sit down with the leaders at Ways and Means of Senate Finance and make sure we get on that. That's a very important proposal. Another thing that I stand for, the president came up, is I have a clear track record of implementing the law as written, not as I might wish it to be. When you run the INS or you run the IRS, you've got to call it down the middle. There was no targeting when I was there. So I'm very concerned about the accretion of power into the West Wing, and particularly this president. You mentioned the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, if you will. the things that have been done there, waiving deadlines, that's just playing past his pay grade. He can't do that. And the same thing is true on the executive order on immigration, where these millions of people are deferred enforcement actions. That is wrong. Even though I favor immigration reform, you can't willy-nilly do this all by yourself. So what I say is I will execute the law as written, not as I might wish it to be, and I'm running for a single term because I've served in 2 different administrations. I can tell you they were very different, the Bush administration from the Reagan administration. One thing they had in common, though, is by year 3, everybody is thinking about the REAL Act, and they start to take decisions based on self-interest in politics rather than national interest. So I'm just running for a single term, and I'm going to advocate a constitutional amendment that would bind future presidents to a single 5 or 6 year term.
I find that very interesting, and I know Doc loves term limits. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Mark, we definitely want to remain in touch, of course, and good luck in Iowa. Hopefully you can get your name on the debate ballot for next time. I know you're working on that, so we appreciate you joining us.
Love to do it, but your listeners can go to Mark, M-A-R-K, for F-O-R, America, markforamerica.com, or they can just Google me, Mark, M-A-R-K-E-V as in Victor, E-R-S-O-N, and then it'll get to the website. But thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Have a good one, Mark.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. Coming up after the break, you're going to hear what's new. If you've got a Twitter account, tweet at Dr. Bonati or hashtag American Medicine Today. And if you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, have those migraines, reach out to Bonati at Bonati.com or 855-267-0483. Catch you on the flip side of the break.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Glad to be here.
Our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Present and accounted for.
And across from me, we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
The junior fellow.
All right. Well,
now
something
it's
stinks.
time to see what Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, President Obama, and the Democrats have simmering in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Let's see what's cooking in Barack's crock.
All you, sir. It's okay.
Let's
music a little bit.
Let's paraphrase a little bit of Thomas Jefferson. He said, if the people fear the government, then you have a situation there that is a tyranny. If the government fears the people, then it's freedom. Well, right now, in that situation in the country, the people start to fear the government. Right. You start to see that liberties are being cut off right and left.
Well said.
It's amazing to see that in the lifetime that the presidents, in our lifetime, the presidents that they are from Ike till Obama, they delivered to the country some executive orders.
Sure.
Well, in all this time, in 6 years or in 8 years of the presidency of Ike, he only put 2 executive orders. Kennedy in 3 years, put 4 executive orders. LBJ in 5 years put 4 executive orders. Nixon in 6 years put 1 executive order. Ford in 2 years put 3 executive orders. Sorry, I'm reading this because I didn't memorize this. Carter in 4 years, only 3 executive orders. Correct. Reagan in 8 years, 5 executive orders. Bush in 4 years, 3 executive orders. Now we start with the Democrats closer here. In 8 years, Clinton, 15 executive orders. George Bush, 62 executive orders in 8 years.
That was Republican, though. But,
well, but his behavior is a little bit more towards the Democrats.
Sure. Okay.
In Obama, guess what?
This number.
Close to 1,000 executive orders in 3.5 years.
Right.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you this. These executive orders are not something that these
are not good executive orders.
Not only they are not good, we are going to need to live with these executive orders unless somebody comes and erase this. Yeah. For example, Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation in control of the highways and seaports. Executive Order 10995 allowed the government to cease and control communications media.
Hasn't that always kind of been the case, though, in the sense that that's sort of like what, like the emergency alert system and all that? Like
somehow
the government
I feel it's
takes it over.
Well, they're trying to take Fox News from the system. Okay, so
right.
Executive Order 10997 allowed the government to take over all the electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. Executive Order 10998 allowed the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 1100 allows the government to mobilize civilians to work brigades under the governmental supervision. Well, this is all a communistic behavior.
Yeah.
They are controlling everything that is a freedom of America for Americans, and is passing to a government who is going to be a tyranny. And none of these executive orders are being discussed in the country or in the media because the media and the big enterprises of the Republicans and Democrats are in the same tank.
Forgive me, I was trying to find the email because I had this too. Did you say Executive Order 11,001?
Yes.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, my question is
11,001 allows the government to take over all the health care that they already did and the welfare functions. Now, this is an incredible situation
here's my
that
question,
we're
though.
losing all the control.
Here's my question, though, Doc.
Right.
Now, these executive orders are made by Obama.
Yes.
So now they're technically law. What are the circumstances that they can do this? Anytime. You know, tomorrow Barack wants to take over the lights in the country. He can just take over all of the electricity power because it was an executive order that was made.
Exactly. And the worst part is already passed. The already is a law.
So it's law.
Okay.
And there's no repealing it when a new president takes over?
President will come over. When Trump is in that office, he's going to go in one day, he's going to clean all this garbage, and he's going to go to the garbage can.
Right.
Take out the trash.
Including Obamacare.
They allow Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned or established for new locations of populations. I mean,
that's what they do in cities.
Dangerous.
You know, it's been reported since Obama got into office that him and Comrade Putin don't get along very well.
Right.
Well, after hearing about his executive orders, it almost sounds Putin-esque. I would think they'd be two peas in a pod. They'd be hanging
don't
out.
you know they were playing feel each
that.
other's legs? Wasn't that like he grabbed his leg and said, "Don't worry about it. We'll be fine once I become president again. Don't worry about it." He did. He tapped him on the leg.
I remember that.
Well, it's happening,
well.
and it's already happened.
Unreal.
Yes.
Well, he didn't do that to Putin. Did that to the French president and told him tell Putin that we are going to help Hunayn in the second period.
Well, exactly.
Well,
not if
we are in a state of communism, or we will be. We still got to.
No, we're not.
No.
We need to get Donald Trump on the system, and then this country doesn't really awake. And doesn't look at the situation and start to put on the side what it is Democrats and what it is Republicans. And they go to look at this individual for what can do for the country, not what they can do for their parties. Let me tell you this.
What they can
this
do for
country is
their own
stupid
pockets?
and deserve really to go to hell.
And on that note, you've been listening to American Medicine Today. If you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, they can reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonati.com. Well, check us out. Bloomberg, Saturdays and Sundays, 6 p.m. Eastern, so check your local listings. And locally in Tampa, WFTS ABC 28, Saturdays at 7. We'll see you next time.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.